Well, first of all, thank you guys so much for coming in. I just want to wrap up real quickly. As we kind of mentioned a couple times here, the current market changing. I mean, like you turn on the news. I mean, there's so many things that are tied to housing right now. I mean, you hear people talk about. I mean, obviously, inflation is spiraling, interest rates higher, recession. What impact is that going to have to do with housing? You just hear everybody talking. Media, in my opinion, will blow it out of proportion in terms of how much the real estate is cooling. But and again, I know there's national statistics, but just be curious to hear your guys' perspective on the local level and the market you're in. Just what have you seen? What's your opinion on where you think things are going? I know we all don't have a crystal ball, but just curious what everybody's thoughts are.
I think it's very town dependent now. Like I think like your towns that are really desirable, they tend to be like super busy right now still. Less than, not 9 offers anymore. Now you're down to 3.
Correct.
But you're still really, really busy. And I think that there are other areas that might not be as popular have cooled, where you were dealing with 3 and 4 offers have now turned into 1. Mm-hmm. So I think it's very town dependent in certain aspects.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, the market went up so fast, so quick that everyone knew it couldn't keep going, and it seems to be leveling off, and that's where you see like certain towns still moving, other towns kind of getting a little soft. And I mean, I'm telling my clients, I can't, like, when they're saying, should I wait 6 months or a year? Will I get more money? I'm like, no one knows, but it's really, it's doubtful because, I mean, now the Fed is, said they're trying to fight inflation, which, the housing market, the rental prices are a big part of inflation. So, I mean, when you have the Federal Reserve trying to soak that all up, I mean, the housing market's not going to fight that for a certain amount of time. And so I think either the Fed's going to do their job, which usually they do, and the housing market's I don't think it's going to go down, but it might soften. And if that happens, then the 10-year bond will kind of come down, and then it'll help rates, and that'll kind of even things out again. So I don't think there's any kind of big movement either way. But I can't see, with the Fed kind of saying what they're going to do and telling everybody, I can't imagine it's going to kind of keep rocketing up. But there are, on the other side of it, there are so many buyers. I mean, even like when rates went over 6%, it was a pause, but then when it came back down, like when it came out 0.5%, it was everyone right back into it, and it turned into, again, just submitted an offer where they had 10 buyers on a house, and I'm like, look at this house. Like 2 weeks ago, it was just kind of slow, and now you have 10 buyers. So I mean, I think there's so many buyers waiting for it to trickle down a little bit, which it did. They're all jumping back in. So I think any price decline will be met with all these buyers again, and if prices go up, the Fed's just going to get more aggressive, and that's going to bring it down. So I think for a while, it's just going to be even keel, is what I kind of feel.
I agree, 100%. I think right now it's just simply serious buyers, and then once any change, everyone's going to be back at it.
Yeah.
No question.
I still see New Yorkers. Recently, I had a New Yorker with a 2-family in Staten Island that was worth about $900,000. And they came to visit their family here in New Jersey, Monmouth County, and they said, well, how much did you pay for your house? $600,000? I could live like this with this money. So I think we're still going to see that. We're still going to see the influx of New Yorkers coming into our state and seeing what they can get for their money. So I think that'll drive our market. That'll be the trickle that keeps coming in. And I tell people, like, look, ask your mother, ask your father what their first interest rate was. And, if it was during the Ronald Reagan years, you're looking at, some ridiculous high number. And I tell them, like, hey, look, I get it. If this is what you want to do, let's go into it, deal with the interest rates as to where they are right now. And if the market does pull back and does get cheaper with regards to rates, let's get back in. Let's refinance at that point.
Because you're not married to it.
You're not married to it, exactly.
You could refi, and if the rates go up, well, you made the right decision to buy then. Because then
Exactly.
you're buying in a
So you're
year.
locking
So
in.
it's win-win. You can't.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, because people want to relate it to, 2008, 2009. But I mean, like, that recession was the result of a housing crisis, and the inventory, we talk about these stats a lot, a couple months ago, in 0809, there was roughly 2.5 million homes on the market at any one time. A few months ago, I think it was call it like May, June, there was only 850,000 homes on the market.
Big difference.
Yeah, that's gone up a lot. I mean, I think it's at like 1.2 or 1.3 million homes nationally. So that's a big increase, but if you look at things seasonally, there's always more inventory this time of year. And just for the record, I mean, we're in, in the beginning of August, but, July, August, because that's when people are putting their homes on the market to get situated before school starts
system.
or whatever that is. So I think that inventory thing, to your point, it's like, because I'm seeing people that have probably given up because they just, if you're a first time home buyer doing lower down payment, you're just getting sick of just like putting a bid in and finding out there was 10 bids higher than you. But I think as more stuff comes on the market, I think there'll be buyer demand. So is it safe to say nobody's seeing like a major housing correction, right? I mean, would you guys kind of agree with that?
No, I mean, I think big picture, I mean, they've been talking about how like they have the whole numbers of family formation, how many families form every year, and the builders have been behind like building that amount of houses every year for like I think the last 10 years or something like that. So they're so far behind, and now like the smaller builders, like I know some builders I've worked with that are saying I don't want to build anything because of inflation.
Construction costs
are skyrocketing, so they're not building, and the big builders aren't keeping up. So that's where like there's 5 buyers for every house, and that's where like if the prices do get soft, I think everyone's going to jump on it. So I don't think, like you said back in 2008 when there's a big correction, I can't foresee that happening unless something really wild happens.
Well, we're also in a really mature market, right? Like there's not a lot of land in Ocean Monmouth County or really anywhere in New Jersey that all of a sudden somebody just be able to build all these homes. But what are you seeing in terms of, you mentioned people coming from New York to New Jersey, and totally agree with that. I mean, there's certain towns in New Jersey that have become like a mini Staten Island. I mean, it's pretty unbelievable. Yeah. But what about people leaving the state? How much of that are you seeing people, it's like kind of, we used to call it in 2008, like drive till you qualify, right? When the housing was so crazy, people would move, further away from New York. I mean, I know I'm seeing a lot of people move to the Carolinas, Florida, that kind of thing. Are you seeing a lot of it?
Yeah, I probably sold 4 or 5 last year where people went to Florida, and like not for any other reason other than just no state income tax, cheaper taxes here. Like if you're retiring and you don't have family ties here, like, and you don't love New Jersey,
what's the difference?
Financially, I mean, if you could save $20,000 a year in state taxes,
you're gonna do it.
Yeah, you'd be crazy not to. You don't have to shovel snow.
Yeah, that's true. That is a big thing. I never paid attention to that too much. I remember hearing on like sports radio talking about, sports, getting a big contract and living in a certain state where you don't pay state income tax. And then when you look at, I mean, it's huge. It's a huge number. It's a huge number for sure.